Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Online Footprint Project. I'm your host, Ross McFarlane. Thank you so much for investing your time with us here today. So really excited for today's guest, Nate Javier. He's actually a mentalist in the corporate scene, so that's going to be really interesting. He's done magic and mentalism for almost 11 years, so it's going to be super interesting. Now, for everyone in the US, it's actually Australia Day, so today's a public holiday here in Australia. There's a bit of controversy because it's similar to, say, your US Columbus Day or Thanksgiving, in that it marks the arrival of the British fleet. And there's been a bit of controversy because they're considering to moving the actual day because they feel that this is the day that the Indigenous Australians were in fact slaughtered and things like that. So yeah, it is a day of celebration. However, in a few years, Australia Day may be on a different day just because there's been a quite a large consensus to shift the date of Australia Day, because even the Indigenous Australians still want to they want to celebrate Australia Day, but not on this particular day. So yeah, just a little interesting fact for you there. So with tomorrow's guest, Pamela Obasa, we've already pre-discussed this, that I may be a little bit seedy, but yeah, she's all cool with it. So yeah, today when Nate comes on, I'm really excited for today's show. We're going to learn about mentalism, bit of magic, things like that, and then yeah, really what it's like working in the corporate space as well. So really looking forward to that. So usually takes guests a few minutes to figure out how to jump on, which is pretty standard. So beautiful. Nate's just sent the invite there. I'll go approve. Good, adding. Beautiful. Yeah, so yeah, with Australia Day today, it's basically beers and beach, and that'll be my day. So tomorrow might be a little seedy, a little bit of a tan as well. We'll see. I mean, I've got English in me, so I most likely will just be red. But yeah, it'll be good fun anyway. So I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, so once Nate jumps on, then we'll get started. Nate, hey man,
Hey, how's it going?
really good. Thanks for coming on. Really looking forward to it today.
Me too.
Yeah, I've been excited. So yeah, everyone at home, Nate Javier, basically he is a mentalist. He's a magician. He's been in the industry 11 years, and yeah, he works in the corporate space. So man, yeah, I'm really looking forward today because I don't know too much about mentalism, but it's a very interesting topic. So thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me. I love what you guys are doing, and I love the idea of you utilizing different people and their niches to help each other out. This is awesome.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. And everyone tuning in at home, we'd love to hear from you. If you are watching, please let us know. Just say hello or something like that, because the more comments we get, the more this will spread out, so then other people can learn about Nate and his business and mentalism as well. So, and if you're on the replay, hashtag replay, that would be awesome. So Nate, yeah, man, let's get into it. So I'd love to hear. I mean, how did you get started? Was it you were into magic as a kid, or it's kind of dawned on you one day that this is what you wanted to do? I'm really interested. I'm fascinated, in fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So backstory is just kind of it's a little off kilter. It's when I was really young, I was watching a lot of the broadcasted magic shows on TV, like World's Greatest Magic Live from Las Vegas, and shows like that. And at the time, my younger brother was born, and so my parents were taking care of him. And so
Yeah.
I needed something to pass the time. And I was fascinated by the way those TV magicians would make people laugh and amaze them and just bring actual joy to people across the world just through this
Yeah.
show. And I started getting interested. Through the reruns, I would sit there with a pad of paper and colored pencils or crayons or things like that and try to figure out on my own how I can do it.
That's
And
cool.
then
Yeah.
yeah, it was really cool for a while. And my parents growing up for a while did not support it at all. So I was making,
Okay.
yeah,
I could see
it's,
that. Yeah, I
yeah.
could see that.
uh, yeah, being in the entertainment industry has been a little tough, but it wasn't until I actually took it seriously about 11 years ago that they're like, oh, there's there's an opportunity here, and I've exploited that opportunity and utilized it in the corporate space uh,
Fantastic.
for yeah about 11 years now.
That's cool. Yeah. So was it all through school as well? You were doing a lot of magic and things like that because you were saying 11 years ago you really started taking it seriously. Was this, I don't know how old you are, so high school or, after you finished school or, college?
Yeah, so I'm going to be 25 in about 4 weeks.
Okay. Oh, cool.
Um,
Happy birthday.
yeah, so it was about high school that when I was really, oh, thank you. High school when I really just uh, started doing more corporate gigs, more parties, or exclusive events is a better way to put it.
Yeah.
Um, but growing up, I did magic tricks. I did a lot of card stuff, and because I didn't have the support from my parents on that, and they use it when they show off to their friends and family, uh, and talk about the magic thing. They love to talk about how I had to learn on my own. And I spent a lot of time at the
Yeah.
library just reading books. I didn't have the mentors or teachers. So I'm very self-taught over the past few years.
That's cool. So, did you start getting mentorship on your journey? Because that's a really another interesting point to make in regards to mentoring.
Uh, yeah, actually, in high school, when I started doing more shows, I realized that I needed to do more than just here's a card trick, here's another card trick. I needed to learn the stagecraft and I needed to understand the business side of it all. And I
Yeah,
started emailing professional magicians and professional entertainers in that same niche. And they started contacting me back and giving me advice. And eventually I was able to meet up live a couple of times with different ones. But these guys really helped me get that going. And automatically I started doing more and more events along with traveling for performing and getting involved and touching different people.
yeah, no, that's fantastic. And I don't think a lot of people realize that just by asking those that are successful in their field or their niche or their niche, then it's really a lot of the time people are actually willing to help. Periodically, you won't get responses and things like that, but you reach out to 10 people and at least a handful of them are going to get back to you. So I think that's a really important mindset to have, that just be open to asking for help, and obviously it's paid off really well for you. So that's cool.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun being able to utilize what they've said, kind of put my own twist on it, and kind of push forward with such an interesting community.
Yeah, I can imagine because it's a very obscure niche to be in. So I imagine the general community itself is very abstract and a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And just being kind of like a sideshow performer in general, it's 9 out of 10 people are going to say yes if you ask them if they want to see a magic trick. And uh, it's
Yeah,
like let's be honest here, magic allows everybody to get creative and feel that whimsy of not knowing what's real and what's not, and it's that joy that really drives my niche.
yeah, that's really cool because it would as well. Like everyone wants to see a magic trick. Like you're never at a party and it's no case of unless it's just a card trick and it's just some guy in the corner that's like, oh, I use this to pick up girls.
Yeah,
Like yeah, we
yeah.
don't want to see that.
No, no, you wouldn't.
Yeah, I remember at university there was this one guy and he would always bring a deck of cards and everyone kind of had their own little circles. I didn't really know who he was, but I'd always see him just trying to do these card tricks at parties to girls. And I was like, man, like they're clearly not interested.
Yeah, I know a few of those kinds of guys too. It's just
Yeah.
pickup artists, they're not.
Yeah, it's funny though. But yeah, Nate, that's really cool. Like, I mean, obviously, it sounds like along the journey of you really just fell into it really well, and from say taking it seriously 11 years ago, how did you know that it was time to really just like that's what you wanted to do? Because I think a lot of people they really don't know their journey or what path they're on. They kind of just go through the motions, and to know what you're passionate about and to be able to follow that, I think is really important. And even if it was just it organically over time, you just decided, oh yeah, this is what I want to do. When did you really know?
What really stood out for me was, let me just preface this with,
Yeah, man, we got time.
I'm actually, yeah, I'm actually a major introvert. If you do the Myers-Briggs, I'm an INFJ, so an
Okay.
extroverted introvert.
Yep.
And so it takes me time to kind of recover from people and things like that. Um,
Yeah.
and so, like, being able to connect with different people is one of my biggest strengths. And growing up, that's how I made most of my friends. Wasn't really because of the magic tricks. It's because I made people feel comfortable. And eventually, when they learned about what I did, they got to see that. And
Cool.
recognizing that gift in high school of being able to network and have a personal relationship within 5 minutes of meeting somebody,
Yeah.
uh, that's how I recognize, like, okay, this will make stagecraft a little bit unique. Make people feel more comfortable and willing to actually give me the opportunity to entertain an audience. So I took advantage of that, and that's definitely what kind of pushed it over the edge. Like, I had this technical skill,
Yep.
but the fact that I was able to network and it comes into play, almost like the value of value. That's really what kind of set it going.
Yeah, that's really cool. Because I mean, just I really would imagine that a lot within the industry, there are a lot of introverts because it is a lot of learning at home. And would that be correct to say? Because you're really, I don't know much about the industry, so it'd be pure speculation here.
Yeah, a lot of the pickup artists like you see and I've seen at like bars or whatever that know a card trick or two just to to buy a girl a drink or get a number. Those are the extroverts, but those aren't the ones that are professionals in the field.
Yeah,
Instead, yeah, most of the people that we work with or uh, like to kind of bring up in the industry are introverts. They're not very big people.
yep,
Um, because they have to spend a lot of time on their own trying to figure out what's new, what's next, things like that.
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Drew said that's how I met my wife. Now, Drew, I'm curious, is in you were introvert and you met her, or you used a card trick at a bar? Yeah, but I mean, Nate, for everyone at home, like, what is mentalism? Like, how would you really sum that up for someone that's completely new to it? Because I got a little bit of an understanding. I jumped on your YouTube channel just before, which we'll make sure we drop the links for that later. But yeah, for everyone at home, what is mentalism?
So, mentalism, oh, you used a card trick, Drew?
Hey man, whatever works, whatever works.
Hey, props to you for that, man.
Yeah, man.
Uh,
Tip my hat.
yeah. Uh, so mentalism, just in quick summary, is uh, utilizing somebody's mind to create a sense of magic. Um, in simple terms, if you're watching a performance, it's somebody who reads minds or makes a prediction that's impossible or um, somewhere along those lines is the easiest way to put it.
Yeah,
And that's what my main stage show is these days. It's all just mentalism because it packs small but plays big,
yeah,
and people are just blown away. It goes from because you can do a show for 1,000 people with a deck of cards and a camera, and people are like, okay, they're skilled with their hands.
yeah,
But if I go up there and read somebody's mind or learn how to influence them properly,
yeah,
they go from how did you do that to when did you realize you had these powers?
yeah.
And that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I can imagine. Because I'm always fascinated when I'll go to certain shows and they might have someone come on and they do different, say, magic tricks or things like that. Hypnosis, as an example, is one thing that is always just so crazy. And then you see
Yeah.
it happen live, and it's like, wow, that's something else.
Yeah, that's hypnosis is another beast too, and I dabbled a little bit in that a long time ago, but the power of suggestion and influence is so awesome.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So when I guess along your journey, so with it being 11 years in the industry, when did you start really working in, say, the corporate field? Because I think for a lot of people, especially this audience, as a lot of us are entrepreneurs and business owners, we may not necessarily have touch base with the corporate field as such, because there's a lot of, say, digital nomads or those that work in a local setting. So,
hmm
yeah, what was it like, I guess, A, getting into the corporate industry? How did you manage doing that? And then B, how have you found working within that space?
So that actually started 16 years old was when I did my first corporate show,
Yep.
and it was for about 2,200 people.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
it was just like a mid-year party that they were doing or a special event. And I got contacted through word of mouth, and uh, it was frightening, but tons of fun. I remember
Yeah.
I actually contacted them. I'm not allowed to say who the CEO is or what the
Yeah. Yeah.
company
That's
is,
cool. Yeah. Yeah. Of
unfortunately,
course. No. No. Absolutely. That's fine.
uh, but they've used me for a few other things. And recently I've been using my skills and my knowledge to work with corporate leaders and
Cool.
CEOs, SEOs, how to connect with different people utilizing magic almost as an icebreaker, for lack of a
Yep.
better term.
Okay.
Um, so that's been insane. It was a lot of fun, especially as a 16-year-old, getting into that audience and then just growing from word of mouth. Because one company hears that they had a high class magician or high class entertainer.
Yeah.
Of course, now another company wants another one, and it just follows along.
Yeah, definitely. I imagine word of mouth would be very powerful because it's such a niche industry. So, yeah, and especially I'd say starting at 16, saying, X company saying, hey, we had this 16-year-old kid that came on and he did an amazing job. Like, that's going to get around.
Hmm.
So, that's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I guess yeah, when working with CEOs, I mean, as we said, we don't need to bring up names or anything like that, but how does that really help with because you were saying using magic as icebreakers? Is that more so for networking events or more team events? Yeah, how do you really leverage that power as such?
So working in that, I utilize a concept of again that value and personal connection. Uh, and to get into that, let me just use a quick allegory for it. It's kind of like if you see two people handing out flyers on a street corner, okay, for
Yeah,
a new, we'll call it a new restaurant that's opening. Sure,
yeah,
there's one person that could do it for 8 hours at a time and go through probably 1,000 flyers just handing it to people.
yeah,
But imagine the second guy handing it out only went through 100 flyers. Now, at first look, you're like, okay, well, the first guy was obviously more productive. But then we add in the other factors of the second guy actually stopped people, spoke about like what's going on, like, oh, is that a basketball? Like, how often do you shoot? Or like, where's the closest like public court? How often do you go there?
yeah,
It creates that personal connection.
yeah,
So instead of 1,000 flyers and hoping that the rule of 10%, they'll show up, 100 people show up.
yeah,
Instead, the fella who only did 100 flyers, but had a meaningful just conversation, real life with 100 people is more likely to have like 70, 80% show up from his, which makes him far more valuable. And
yeah,
so
for sure.
in working with all these CEOs and higher corporate people, it started as like a trade show kind of event, but then it did turn into team building activities or special event marketing for their company and things like that. More so to give them something of value to give somebody else.
Yeah,
I remember I was working at a trade show and I told the one of those senior marketing executives that, hey, you know what? I can get you to talk to anybody in this room on the slight condition that, I actually have the opportunity to connect with them
yeah,
myself. But uh, basically, I had him hold on to a sealed envelope,
yep,
and I put on the line my wages for that event.
yeah,
And so he held onto a sealed envelope. I walked over to who they were looking for, had him pick a card, hold on to the card, don't let anybody see it. And I said, I'm willing to bet that that guy over there, he's holding an envelope. How crazy would it be if he was holding the same envelope or the same card in that envelope? So the guy walks over, they open the envelope together, and both of them were blown away. But now they
yeah,
had a relatable moment where they started talking about it. Then they started talking business together, grabbed drinks
yeah,
later, and talked different contracts and different deals.
yeah,
So I started
fantastic.
leveraging that in the corporate events to give uh, different companies that same influential power of the 100 flyers.
Yeah, yeah, which is incredible. Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean,
It
yeah,
was
if
it's
you're, yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
no, yeah, man, I was just gonna say like that's really cool. Like to be able to bring the icebreaker in and to find that niche as well in such a corporate setting. And if it's like these big deals that are going on because of that you've managed to facilitate is just fantastic to have. So it's going to be definitely something that in your arsenal of list of things you can do, then that's definitely a big one.
Oh, definitely. And you know what? That idea of togetherness and community is really what brings value to value, and allows you to be able to help each other out. And it's definitely been a strong point being able to utilize the idea that number one, I have an unusual job. Number two, I'm an introvert, and so I don't really like crowds of people. On stage is different because you only deal with the people you bring up,
Yeah, it's just lights in your
but I
face and
love
that's
that
it.
personal connection. Yeah, exactly. You don't have to see anybody. You just randomly choose someone, they come up, and so now you're dealing with them, and everybody else gets to watch.
Yeah.
Um, and utilizing that interpersonal connection, just in an unusual way and unique way, allows other people to experience that kind of magic and the ability of instant relationship with them.
Yeah, definitely. So I remember last time I went to watch a show and I was sitting by the aisle. So, periodically, if it's say like something gets pulled out of a jacket, they're like, "Oh, excuse me, you're able to wear this, and then we'll get you to come up on stage for one of the props." I was like, "Dude, I'm in shorts. Like, you seriously want me to walk up on stage in a suit jacket and shorts?" He's like, um, can you please? You seem to be like the right size for the jacket. I was like, damn it. So it's just because
Hey,
there's
that's an
just
opportunity right there.
but it's all good fun. Like, it's really just fun time to have, and especially if it's building that relationship. And I had a few people message me afterwards that turns out I knew that were in the crowd, and they're like, "Oh, hey, we saw you on stage." I was like, "Oh, great! I actually saw people." Yeah.
Oh
I
no,
usually
real
dress better
people.
than this. Yeah, I swear I dress better than this normally. uh, yeah, but that's really cool, though. Like, yeah, I mean, with that, so with I guess along your journey, because now you're going into more the digital space as well. In regards to you got your YouTube channel, and you're basically just creating more of an online presence. Because word of mouth is by far like the best way to network, hands down. But it's still helpful to have lead gen from other sources because you can't rely always on just one thing. So it's awesome that you're starting to more branch out into the digital space. When did you start doing that, and have you found that's been going in regards to getting into the space of learning how to promote yourself?
So it's been going pretty well. I've seen like interesting amounts of growth and opportunities to both improve and to just continue on.
Yep.
Um, to be honest, I actually started probably March last year
Yeah.
is when I first kind of started tackling it. Beforehand, I had my personal Instagram account, which was okay, and then I also had my Facebook, but I really only used Facebook to find recipes and Instagram just to kind of creep on all my friends and see what they're doing. So,
Yeah.
um, but last year, some friends and I kind of sat down, and they didn't grow up doing magic, ironically, but I told them like I feel like it's time to actually start a YouTube channel, and
Yeah.
they're like, okay, we're in. And so I started teaching them because similar to business where uh, you can have a Tesco or a Costco where everything's sold, but sometimes you're just looking for that one grocery store that carries a certain type of food item.
Yeah.
Similar to that, you don't want your business going all over the place. And so in performance, uh, that's why I focus on mentalism. Like, yeah, for friends and family, I'll do card tricks, or for the YouTube channel now, I'll do that. Uh, but I have all this knowledge, but I focus on a single area in our niche. So I taught the other two different things and different methods and ways to expand what they're doing.
Yeah.
So we cover majority of what our niche does, but still staying true to who we are. And so going into this digital age, uh, I did my research. I kind of sat down, ground out the numbers. So we started with Instagram,
Yep.
then launched the Facebook page just to start getting that following. And then we started our YouTube channel June 30th, 2017 was our first video up on the channel.
Cool.
And we watched back the other day and it was so bad. But it was worth it. It was so worth it.
Yeah.
So since then, we've seen steady digital growth. And from there, a lot of people have been requesting us. And similarly, a lot of people that we actually make those connections with or just talk with come and follow us on our media platforms, which is awesome. I love seeing that exchange.
Yeah.
It's definitely helped out business a lot.
That's cool. Yeah, and that's fantastic. And that's it. Once you've got that digital presence, then it really helps. Almost like a resume as such, where people can actually see what you're doing. And that's why, 2018, personal branding, or at least business branding, is so important to really get your name out there and generate organic leads. So it's fantastic that, you've quickly figured that out, and that's really helped to propel your business further or forward even further. So that's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a big proponent of personal organic leads, just because that's how I built my business for 10 years. And now the 11th year, it's been like adding in the digital influence. But I love the fact that there's a local bar that I'm there probably once a week. The bartenders know me. Some of the regulars know me. But whenever there's somebody new, or if somebody brings in like a guest with them to this exclusive bar, some of my friends will stop me and be like, hey, this guy does magic. And then I'll start talking to him and hopefully strike a business deal right there, or just add him into the influencers that we have on our media platforms.
That's fantastic. Yeah, awesome.
It's a lot of fun.
Nate, I guess, for everyone at home and everyone listening, if you're getting value from this, please drop hashtag value. Look at that. We'd love to hear from you. Make sure you're getting value from this. If you're on the replay as well, hashtag replay. But Nate, so I guess for everyone at home, in regards to building those relationships, what could you recommend, or what value can you offer in regards to, I guess, just helping someone to strike up that initial conversation, whether it's because of a business deal or it's in a bar or something like that? Is there anything you can recommend that's just, I guess, very just generic for everyone, but can still be applied to most cases?
Absolutely. I was actually thinking about this the other day because a friend of mine was asking me something very similar, is how can you just basically it's a live cold call with someone. And I broke it down in 3 steps. Number 1, eye contact. So you have to just look that person in the eyes. Don't give them creepy eyes like, oh, you're mine. No. Just you're like, we've seen that. We've seen that in person somewhere. But definitely it's make eye contact with somebody, even if it's just a quick glance. That way they can acknowledge that you exist. Number 2, walk up. It's I remember the Matt Damon movie, We Bought a Zoo. And as cheesy as that movie was, they had the best advice was 7 seconds of courage. And a lot of the people I work with, I tell them the same exact thing. Because they're like, oh, I'm too scared to go on stage, or I'm too scared to do this. I don't do this. I'm like, I look at them like, I absolutely hate crowds. I hate tons of people. But I still go up on stage in front of thousands of people to make you happy. Like, there's no way. You just take a deep breath and act on those 7 seconds of courage. And the third step, talk about something irrelevant. We don't stay away from, like, the standard is stay away from religion and politics because you don't want to piss somebody off. Frankly, but that's when you start with just a random icebreaker, kind of like the 100 flyer guy. You can talk if they're holding a basketball. Ask them where the local hoops are, how often they go, what got them into it. If you see that they have great shoes, ask them what got them into shoes, or like how many pairs do they have. Or my favorite is just the stupid icebreaker. So I'd walk up to somebody and I'd say, so if you had a pet elephant, what would you name it? Because people laugh, they'll be taken aback, and they'll answer the question because it's like, where the heck did that come from? And as they're laughing, just introduce yourself. So I'd ask them, if you were a crayon color, what color would you be? And they'd answer. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I'd probably be Periwinkle. By the way, I'm
Yeah.
Nate, and
Yeah.
just break that ice right there.
That's cool.
And it's tough, but a good exercise even then is 5 people a day just walk past them and give them a legitimate compliment, whether it's their smile, how you like their eyes, maybe it's the way they tied their tie. It walk past 5 people a day and just be like, hey, I really appreciate, or I really love the way your hair looks today. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Or just go for a high five, something like that. Just so you start getting comfortable contacting random people.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's really simple. Not easy,
Yeah.
but it's simple.
That's cool. Yeah, and you don't have to be super smooth about it. Like as long as you're not creepy. Because it's funny you mentioned shoes before, and I remembered a story where I was at an ATM one time getting some cash out, and it was in more of a lower socioeconomic area, and I was in my Jordans, so I just had these bright red high top shoes, and then
Oh, yeah.
and these are pretty expensive shoes. Like there's not too many shoes that I'll like really want to get, but these were just I was like, yeah, I absolutely want these Jordans. So I'm at this ATM in this poor neighborhood, and there's a guy that just walks right up to me. He's like, hey man, I really like your shoes. I was like, I'm gonna get rolled on. It ended up just being a
Yeah.
pure compliment, and I was like, cool, yeah, no, thank you. And then I kind of like shuffled on but yeah, just don't be creepy about it. But it's a compliment, goes a long way.
Oh, yeah. Don't be afraid to use humor either. In my show, for example, in my shows, as an entertainer and just as a person in general, I tend to be very sarcastic,
Yeah.
which I use to my advantage because people in the corporate world love sarcasm and they love the idea of dark humor and things like that, just because it's a
Yeah.
little break from the mundane.
Yeah.
So I utilize that a lot. If I see somebody just kind of do something a little bit dumb, I'll make a quick comment next to somebody that I want to connect with, and once they start laughing, I'll get them involved in a conversation about that. So don't be afraid to use humor to your advantage, but definitely don't be creepy because walking up to somebody and talking to them for a second, you don't want to say something like, "Oh, wow, you smell different when you're awake." No, that doesn't go well. That does not go well.
Uh, you look so much different from behind the bushes to in person.
Yeah. Oh, I love the way your hair smells today.
Oh man, this
Oh,
yeah,
oh.
oh, that's great. So yeah, Nate. I mean, this has been fantastic fun. Like it's so interesting just to learn about everything. So I mean, I guess what do you think's the next step? Like with you're saying you're getting on stage in front of thousands of people, which is incredible in itself, and obviously your journey, although it's 11 years in, it's still growing and you're still moving forward. So what can you think? Is on the next step?
I think for me, the next step is to start teaching people how to do what I do.
Cool.
I'd love to continue to do things like what we're doing right now, Ross, and I'd love opportunities just to exploit my gift in connectivity to
Yep.
give other people that same gift. Uh, so at some point, maybe that's one of the next steps because I love performing. I love doing that. But it's about time some other people learn how to get up on stage in their own way or feel comfortable. Because if I can
Yeah.
do it, they sure as hell can.
Yeah, cool. Even if it's something for just as simple as say public speaking, getting in front of a group of people is really a skill that not everyone has. Because as much as I'm pretty confident with public speaking and things like that, always trying to learn new things and develop myself both personally and in a business sense. And there's a type of public speaking group here in Australia. I think they have it in the States as well. Because of the story I'm about to tell, I won't mention what it was, but basically, yeah, we went and it was about trying to learn more about public speaking. So my friend and I were sitting there, we're listening, and it was about people, they would speak and then they would time or take a note of how many times they say or whatever else. And I'm still guilty of it. I'm still learning along the way. But it was
Oh, yeah.
so boring. Like it wasn't anything like what I expected. And it was really just by the halftime, they're like, all right, we'll have a little tea break. And I was like, oh, excuse me, where's the bathroom? And then my friend and I just left. And then we
Oh,
just
that's
been run
so
across the car park like
unfortunate
they're
that it
coming.
goes like this. Yeah, filler
Yeah.
words, but to that point, like filler words happen. The ums, the uhs, the extraneous use of the word like or things like
Yeah.
that.
And I'm guilty of that as
It
well.
happens.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's just when you're trying
Yeah,
to
we all
speak
do it.
fluently, yeah, just your brain needs that little bit of time just to connect words together. So opposed to having, say, an elongated break like that, it's more a case of if we're talking and talking and then we want to fit something in, the brain will just automatically, fix that. So, whether it's like or I'm really guilty of saying, which I'm really trying to fix. And with the show, it's something. There you go. With the show, it happens pretty regularly,
Yeah.
and guests are the same. Just because it's a very common thing, and yet when you think about it, it's like when would you ever say in a sentence? So it's strange that the brain just affiliates that with that gap filler.
Exactly. And if I can, just adding like two bonus tips in there.
Yeah, please.
Uh, in so I have a slight stutter also, so I have to slow down what I say sometimes, and I still have that issue of different filler words. I almost did it. I
Yep.
was talking to somebody who's actually an expert in speaking in public, but they said that having that gap, just stop talking and uh, there is another filler word, but just taking that time and just stopping instead of saying something to fill that space, just let that space be, sometimes will make a bigger impact on your speech and the way that you talk and your cadence and everything like that. And then
Yeah.
if you're nervous and those filler words are coming in because you're nervous, uh, uh, back in college, I was a vocal major and music education major,
Yeah.
and the goal was to keep you less nervous in front of your peers because beginning voice was just kind of terrifying. But, and this is the advice I still use
Yeah.
today, even in front of audience, focus on one of your big toes and just press that into the ground.
Okay.
That's it. I mean, it's a little bit different, and I'm actually doing it a little bit right now because it takes all the extra tension from away from your body and focuses it in that one spot,
Okay.
and it works every time. And I've shared that with many people, and it's kind of helped them out. So I just thought I'd share that.
Yeah, that's fantastic for viewers. Thank you, because that's definitely going to be something for those that might be a little bit nervous with speaking in public or speaking to others. And I think that's a great point to make, because if you're focused solely on, say, pressing your big toe into the floor, you're going to be less involved in the nervousness of the situation that you've got going on. So I think that's a great point. John says,
Absolutely.
trying to figure out whether that was all intentional or not. Yeah. Yeah, Nate, this has been an absolute pleasure, man. Like, I really appreciate you coming on. This has been an absolute pleasure. Everyone at home, Nate Javier, he's been a star. So, Nate, how do people get in touch with you for, I guess, to leverage your services or for you to be able to help them, with their day to day? What can we do to get in touch?
So you guys can actually email me at in Javier, that's in the letter N, Javier,
Yep.
at makersmagic.com for my email. Or if you do want to hire myself personally or my group, there's three of us, and so I'm a mind reader. There's another guy who moves objects with his mind, and then we have an escape artist. If you guys want to do that, you can email info@makersmagic.com
Yeah.
or check out our YouTube channel. Please check out our YouTube channel. And if you enjoy it, hit the subscribe button. Just go to youtube.com/makersmagic, not magic
Yep.
makers. Some
Magic
people get that
Makers.
mixed up. Like, yeah, it's Makers Magic.
Cool. Well, you can drop the link
And it's got
afterwards, and
this
that way
symbol.
it's easy to
Yes.
yeah, basically do it, because people are lazy. Whereas if the link's there, they'll click it. It's much easier than actually having to
Yeah.
manually search.
Uh, John, don't worry about
That's great.
emailing me about mind reading. I think you should. It doesn't work long distance, and you are thinking of the four clubs.
I love it.
Uh,
Uh, yeah, Nate, this has been an absolute pleasure, man. So thank you so much for coming on the show. Yeah, I've really enjoyed this. It's been a lot of fun. Is there any other, before we go, is there any other businesses or any other links or anything that you want to mention before we go?
No, just definitely follow us Instagram, Facebook. I'll add in the links down below,
Yeah,
YouTube
fantastic.
especially. And if you guys want help with any of these networking things or whatever, email me and I'll throw my email down below. Thanks for the thumbs
Cool.
up.
Yeah. Nice. All right, well, Nate, thank you so much for coming on. Everyone at home, Nate, Javier, it's been an absolute pleasure. And everyone at home, thank you for investing your time with us here today. If you got value from it, please let us know. Drop tag hashtag value, or if you're on the replay, hashtag replay. We'd love to hear from you as well. So, Nate, thank you so much again. And man, yeah, we'll keep in touch because I'd really love to hear how things are progressing for you.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks, man. All right, chat soon.
Awesome.
Cheers.
Absolutely.